A very good afternoon to all the meritorious and driven young scholars with soaring dreams and lofty ambitions. I am Shinandana Chaudhary, a student outreach ambassador from Modern High School for Girls, and I'm ecstatic to extend a warm welcome to every single one of you to Voices, our very own student podcast and an endeavor solely taken to benefit from millions of budding hopes and aspirations by virtue of being its torchbearer, the light of which is ignited by our illustrious invitees from distinguished institutions who seamlessly relay their words of wisdom. Elated, I would now take this privilege to introduce to you Ms. Anju Jairaj, Director of Outreach and Marketing, Rishihood University. Heartiest greetings to you, ma'am. We welcome you with open arms to our podcast.
Thank you so much, Sunandana. And I really wish that we were doing this in person, but very soon. How are you? All well?
I am doing great, ma'am. How are you?
Absolutely fine. Boiling with enthusiasm. I want to know what you guys want to know and then probably contribute with my tidbits of knowledge wherever possible.
Absolutely, ma'am. I think this is the second time we are meeting, so we are
Yes.
quite familiar already. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes.
So, ma'am, now I just want to ask you this: that all of us have this based idea that every field requires a set of skills. I'm sure you all
Hmm,
agree.
hmm,
So,
hmm.
who should consider pursuing an entrepreneurship course, and what qualities or interests makes anyone, just someone well suited for this particular field?
Okay, so entrepreneurship is not for the weak-hearted. It is not a field of interest for someone who finds comfort in the very regular, comfortable things. So if you're someone who says that, I want a very restricted life, these are the number of hours that I want to work in. I want a very plain Jane life. I get my salary. I'm very happy. I watch movies. I eat food, and that's all I want from my life. Then entrepreneurship is not for you. Entrepreneurship is for mavericks. It's for people who are crazy enough to go ahead and very passionately, follow what they really want to do. Have the passion to go ahead and make a difference around whatever. It could be as small as helping someone, maybe creating a robot which serves water to people around you. It could be as small as that, or as big as building something like Zomato or whichever other companies that you may really like. So you have to be someone who is very keen on observation. I think that's very very critical. So as a student as well, if you find that you are, as a person, someone who can see a situation, there are a lot of potholes on the road, but I will still find a way where my scooty doesn't really need to enter into the pothole and actually find out a way. If you're that kind of a person, then you can be an entrepreneur. If you're someone who has a risk appetite, I typically get this question when I'm interviewing students for the entrepreneurship course, saying that, okay, fine, this is the entrepreneurship program that you have, Makers is fantastic, I'll build a business, but tell me, if I don't build a business, mera placement opportunity kya hai? What is it, where do I find out, what is it that I get, what is the risk orientation that I have? I'm putting in so much money, do I have a safety net? While, yes, as institutions, we do understand the safety net bit and we do provide opportunities to go ahead and build a career as well, even in an entrepreneurship program. Having said that, we would want you to be more bold. So, entrepreneurship is technically a very bold program. You have to be passionate, you have to be very curious. You're someone who asks the right questions, you can showcase a very active and engaging mindset. I think if you're all of that, and you have a lot of confidence, even if someone disagrees with you, I think then you're suited enough for an entrepreneurship program.
Wow. Okay. So I think whatever you just said, it first of all broke a lot of I already misconcepted ideas that people had about that entrepreneurship is a pretty easy chill course. I think you
Hmm.
have given them a very good taste of how it's supposed to feel. And while it's daunting, I must say that for hearing this, it sounded pretty exciting too. Because, like, this is the tag of a makeup company: the bolder, the better. I think it applies for entrepreneurship as well. So, ma'am,
Absolutely.
yeah, this is. So, would you, just piggybacking off what you just said, would you say that uh, entrepreneurship is something that people who have prior experience, etc., they should choose only because, like you said, it's not for the weak hearted. So if they have some sort of family background, they know someone who has a
Hmm.
prior experience, they should be the ones who should initially consider getting into entrepreneurship. And but not the ones who have absolutely no experience. I mean, they should garner some knowledge first and then get into this field.
It's not necessary. So yes, there is. So someone who has been, who was born and brought up in a family business background, they do have the advantage of the fact that dinner table conversations are also around business. So they're more familiar, what happens, how do you hire people, how do you manage people, and likewise. Having said that, I think entrepreneurship to start with requires an idea and the gut to go ahead and follow up on that idea and actually execute it. So it's not necessary. There are multiple examples of first generation entrepreneurs who've come from families which are typically service background, professional people. My entire lifetime, everyone in the family is a government employee. But the kid I would see is someone who's building a beautiful platform for maybe putting together all AI tools. And I have that student in my own campus right now. He's from a very economically weaker section of the society. He's not someone who's had access to resources across his life, but he is building businesses. He's a first generation entrepreneur. His entire family hasn't seen a certain income of, beyond say 1 lakh, 2 lakhs in a year. So for that sort of a kid to have that resolve that, nahi boss, mujhe ye todna hai and I want to get ahead, I want to build something which is of value. I think that drive, that passion, a sort of idea, if that is there, that is good enough. So you don't necessarily have to be only from a family business background, and you don't need any experience. I mean, there are crazy ideas that we are now dealing with from students who are applying to us, kids who are in grade 11, grade 12. They've already built up businesses. And we're like, okay, that's nice. Then, tell us how. As a university, tell me how I can invest more. Tell me how I can help you more, how I can mentor more. So I think there's no age restriction. You can become, I mean, you look at KFC. It was started by Colonel Sanders right after his retirement, right after 50, 55 years of age. So whether you look at that or you look at really young startups being done by even 10, 12, 13-year olds, there's no age particular gap or there's no background. It's very background agnostic that way.
Nice one. That is kind of reassuring, I would say. So, based right off of that, I just want to ask you, what are the various pathways that an entrepreneurship degree can lead to in terms of career opportunities and further education as a whole?
Okay. I think entrepreneurship as a concept is understood to be something which is very restricted to only starting a business. All right. So when someone listens to the fact that I'm doing an entrepreneurship degree, by default, the other person will say, okay, fine, either this guy is starting a business or he's joining his family business altogether. Having said that, I think entrepreneurship as a skill has even come into a regular work life. So I lead a team of 14, 15, 20 people, right? And when I'm hiring, I'm not going to look at someone who comes and says that, okay, fine, Anju, these are 5 things that you asked me to do, and I'm going to do only these 5. I'm looking for people who are passionate. I'm looking for people who have the initiative, who have the drive to do newer things, who can be very innovative with their ideas. So entrepreneurship no longer is a field, it's become a skill set that everyone should have. If you are not entrepreneurial in the way that you think, you can't even succeed in a company in a 9 to 5 sort of a job, to be very honest. So that skill you have to inculcate. So at the end of an entrepreneurship degree, technically the sort of career opportunities that you look at could be A, of course, that you start something of your own and you build more careers. B, you could look at a very interesting concept called as the founder's office. Now, if you look at most of the companies, most of the leading companies today, the founders, the CXOs, the CEOs have a certain office which is like a strategy room. It's like a war room, which is like a strategy room, right? And there are people that are hired for the founders' offices as a chief of staff. Now, what are these people supposed to do? They're not supposed to do HR work. Their job is not to, make compensation benefits with their staff. Their job is to shadow and understand what the CEO's role is, what is the CXO's role, and can I start building more and more strategy? And I can give you an example. So currently at Rishud as well, the CEO here, Sahil, he has a founder's office. And one of the gentlemen who works in the founder's office, Abhishek, if you look at Abhishek's background, Abhishek is an IIT Delhi alumnus. He went on to work with PwC for about 5, 6 years. He's worked with the Bihar Public Commission for a few years. So he's got both the public as well as the corporate experience. So he is now, as part of the founder's office, strategizing for the entire university. What are the sort of initiatives? How do we get more funding? What are the sort of activities that we should do? So it's a very strategic role. And once you enter into the founder's office, there are higher chances that you also move into the CXO CEO level. So that's one career path that people can look at. Other students can also look at working with private equity firms, working with venture capital firms, investment firms, and trying to understand how that finance, structure goes ahead, become an investor in the future as well. So these are aside, other than just joining a Google, Meta, whatever companies that you want to go for at a marketing role, at a senior management role. But that classic difference is always there. The roles that you're looking at with corporates after an entrepreneurship degree are high growth roles. These are high growth companies. These are not the regular companies that you can survive in. And therefore, anyone wanting to do a business degree or an entrepreneurship degree can be rest assured that all I'm not going to ask you to do is start a business. You can do that, or you can also join a company and get money for some time till the time you want to start up something of your own.
Wow. I mean, I'm pretty sure that this advice is something that several people will find incredibly useful. Now, ma'am, the thing is, see, I'm in 11th grade now, and I'm going to go to 12th grade. So, several of my friends are already looking forward to pursuing the entrepreneurship degree, and this question is something that several of them have, discussed with me, and in general, that how does an entrepreneurial degree differ from a traditional business program, and what specific skills and knowledge does it cover?
Okay. So let's understand the structure of the traditional business program, right? The traditional business program is built, it's a business management program or it's a business administration program, right? It is built from the perspective that it is to teach you how to manage a particular business or how to administer a certain business. The perspective of that course is not to help you create a certain business. That's why most of the programs that you see, whether it's a BBM program, a BBA program, which is the regular rung that you get in any universities, these are courses which are oriented towards you joining a firm in the management field, and you start off working, slowly and steadily across the entire ladder. But they essentially make you very good managers. They don't make you good creators. A very strong entrepreneurship program will focus on creating. There, the learning is not by understanding that this is the way I will need to communicate with one team to the other team. The focus is on making you do it then and there. So, can I learn by making? Can I learn by doing things? Again, classic example. If I look at a traditional program in a BBA course or in a regular program, which is not an entrepreneurship-driven business program, in those cases, you will be taught how to become a startup entrepreneur, how to start a business. I'll teach you that yes, this is the way that you need to ideate. This is the way that you need to, when you're thinking about your product, this is how you'll prototype. This is how you'll pitch to your investors, and likewise. But I'm not making you do it. I'll teach you everything. You have the entire worksheet. You'll have all the raw material, but I'm not making you do it. In an entrepreneurship business, you will have a mentor from the industry from day one. Can I have a mentorship orientation where, let's say, someone from McKinsey or someone from BCG or someone from a company like Google or Meta? These are people who are one-on-one mentoring you throughout the course, saying that, boss, yes, this is what you're learning, but this is how you need to apply. In Google, this is how things happen. Can you work on that? Or can I work with a company and give you a real-time project? Let's say, for example, Spotify comes and says that my business problem is that I'm not able to tap into people who are more than 40 years of age. Youngsters are on my platform, but more than 40 years of age, they don't find Spotify very interesting. If that is the business problem, it is an actual problem that Spotify is facing. So the students will actually work on it. They're given opportunities to work with smaller businesses and help them become bigger. So they become consultants during the program, and multiple other things as well. At the makers here at Rishud as well, we give a student a 10,000 rupee deposit on a demat account on day one when you join in, because our understanding is that conversation about money is not very simple. People don't converse enough. Parents don't encourage enough students to talk about mutual funds and everything. घर पे बोला जाता है कि आप बच्चे हो, आपको ये नहीं सीखना चाहिए. But अगर बच्चे को 16-17 में, if I don't teach them how to grow money, they're not gonna learn how to grow money even at 30, 31, 32. Right? So we give them a demat account. We'll teach you how to grow your money, how to invest in stocks, how to create your own portfolio. Your job to create it across the 4 years. We'll give you a 1 lakh rupee deposit in the first year. I'll put a deposit in your name in year one. I'll give it to you in your fourth year with interest and say, go ahead and make anything. You want to make a notebook, you want to make a phone, you make any particular product that you think is going to be a hit, but make it. So, entrepreneurship and traditional business, that is the classic difference. In entrepreneurship, you will start doing things. At the end of 4 years, you will be an entrepreneur in some way or the other. Whether you want to pursue it immediately or not, that's a question that you have. That's a decision that you need to make, but you will be able to start doing things. In a regular business program, you learn everything, and therefore, mostly when you see students passing out of regular BBA programs, you will see that they get into a job, work there for 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, 12 years, and then maybe at the end of 10 or 12 years, and the end of 15 years, like me, at the end of 16 years, they might think, okay, fine, now I can start my business. Fine, but by then we are too easy into comfort. We may not start our businesses in likewise. Entrepreneurship program, the chances of you starting your own business and creating opportunity is much higher.
Well, I must say that the entrepreneurial degree does have a much more straightforward and no-nonsense attitude, like which you said is most required in the world of entrepreneurs.
Yes.
I must say that if I were going to be a part of this world, I would definitely choose an entrepreneurial degree before a traditional business program. So now, based off of that, I think now the main thing that several people wonder is that how does the entrepreneurship curriculum incorporate real world experiences such as internships, case studies, entrepreneurial projects to enhance students' learnings?
Yeah. So a good entrepreneurship project will have a couple of things that are necessary and logical. Okay. Let's look at them. So I mentioned earlier that you start working on real projects which are done by companies as well. So projects that are happening, problems that a running company today, a running organization is facing, those problems are given to the students. There is an association that the university has with that particular company, and the company says, okay, fine, you have a cohort of say 100 odd students who are pursuing entrepreneurship. They're fantastic kids. I want them to solve my problem because I have this particular problem. That's it. So there are a lot of real projects that are worked on. They're not mere simulations. There's no simulation. There's a real project that you work on. Similarly, opportunities like working with community. I think one core part of any education, not just entrepreneurship, and it's more relevant to entrepreneurship, is that you should be able to engage with your immediate community. The larger impact, the better for you, because all of you all are going to start businesses or get into a company. But if that's not going to have an impact into your immediate community circle, then there's no point. There's no relevance to it. You'll come back to a question after 7 years saying, "Ki main kya kar raha hu zindagi mein?" That is not what the value of education should also be, right? So how do you engage with community? Can I work with smaller organizations, smaller companies that are started by maybe 2 or 3 people, or maybe let's say as bare minimum ek kirane ki dukaan hai. You pick up a general store, he has a certain problem that I have 10 products, I sell all of them, but this is the max that I'm able to sell. As a student, as 2 or 3 students, maybe you can become consultants with him and work with him for an entire year to grow his business 5 times. For that mentorship, there will be mentorship opportunities that industry experts give. Other things, like I mentioned, the access to resources, whether it's an immediate incubation fund. At Rishud, I have a $5 million fund that is given to students for incubation. So at the end of 4 years, after having given you the deposit of 1 lakh and interest, and if you've started something of your own and you think you can really build it, then pitch it to the investment fund, take money and start your own business. Can I give you co-working spaces? Can I give you more colleagues, team members that you can find out and build it? And more importantly, as an entrepreneur, it's also important for you to understand the global context. Yes, मुझे इंडिया में धंधा करना है, but मुझे बाहर का भी पता होना चाहिए, because I might have to, import something. I might have to get a raw material which is from maybe London. So how do I understand that business environment? So I think global immersion treks, whether it's business ecosystems for our students, we have business ecosystems like Singapore, there's Israel, there's London, there's Silicon Valley and Apple. So where students go, they will work there, they will work in those labs, understand how things are done, and come back with that particular knowledge. So I think all of these aspects, what sort of mentorship, what sort of guidance that you get, how much can I hold on, and internships. There's an entire year-long internship that students at Rishi would go through. The 4th year is fully internships. और कुछ है ही नहीं आपके पास काम. Your job is either to start something of your own, or you get into an internship with a company and start working on a problem. So I think these elements are necessary, because otherwise I'm only talking about it. Teaching entrepreneurship is easy, but making you do it, we want you to build, we want you to try, we want you to fail. Failure is fine, absolutely brilliant. Okay, and then once you fail, you should be in the position to rebuild. If that process is aligned, the thought process is there within the student, I think the university can create those opportunities for you to go ahead as well. So look
I
for
loved
that,
how,
look for
yeah.
certain logical things.
Yeah, I loved how you said that failure is brilliant, because I think this is something that not everyone gets to hear at every phase of their lives, and this is something we are in fact at the polar opposite regarding failures as a whole. That don't fail. If you are once a failure, then your life is over. I'm sure
Yeah.
even you have come across such things. But
Yeah,
ma'am,
yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
it's
In
sad.
fact, I can give you a very recent example. We were interviewing someone, and we asked that kid about, have you organized any events? Have you participated? Or likewise, he told us about an event that he organized, which was an absolute flop show. Absolute flop show. He said, you know what? I tried getting vendors. वो vendor last minute में किसी के घर में कुछ हो गया, something or the other. But it was such a brilliant experience for him. He was like, I failed at every level. It was an absolute flop. Nothing we derived out of it. I burned, I don't know how much money, my family's money into that event. But having said that, these are things that I've learned. I got kicks from my parents, but this is things that I've learned, and now I think I can build better. I'm still driven towards, driving more events. So I think that enthusiasm has to be there. So if you're failing, it's good. What you're learning is the thing that you need to keep in mind.
That's great, ma'am. But unfortunately, today we have come to the inevitable end of today's podcast. At least I would like to extend warm regards to you, Ms. Jairaj. You are our venerated guest. And ma'am, you took out time for this session and infused in us your years of experience in such a remarkable way. Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Lovely conversing with you, and we should do this in person sometime at your place. We'll do it for sure.
Absolutely, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you
So
so
I just want
much.
to close.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. I just want to close today's podcast with this much relevant quote from Rabindranath Tagore. Education is the manifestation of perfection that already exists in man. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anand. Thank you.